Welcome to BodyWork.
Let's talk about the Tank fight, because let me start it off real quick. I think this fight kind of really is like exposing a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, one, I seen, and as much as I rock with Teddy Atlas, I heard Teddy say that he gave the whole fight experience pretty much a C. I said, how could you give this whole fight experience a C, man? We got fighter after fighter, card after card. Even when we thought it was mismatches, we got an upset, and we got somebody that didn't get stopped by, the Philly phenom, and we got a good fight. We saw something, and then we got what we wanted from Tank, but some people like, let's say Mr. Gary Russell, I'm trying to figure out now, I'm kind of trying to reason or wrap my mind around why the fight with him and Tank never happened. I reason that, one, Gary never made himself available to go up to around the same weight class. He's been down at 126. Tank was down at 130, 135, and did 40. But the energy, because the hiccup that we had was noted to be from Gary Russell exchanging words with some people from Philly like Meek Mill and them about, basically him grandstanding up in there and Meek Mill and them saying, hey, look, man, this man putting on for the city, quiet it down. They all wind up getting kicked out. And I'm like, look, man, as somebody from Maryland, some from this area, and seeing what Tank was able to do for his first venue out from up under the wing of Mayweather, that's one. So that's a success. He set a record. He had $5 million plus gate. He had 20,000 people in there. Other than the people getting put out in the minute that the fight got stopped, which Devin said wasn't a cheating crap. As this is like, well, you can't have commotion if you can't corral the fans, you never know what happened. So it was proper to pause the fight for a minute. You know what I'm saying? In which, a lot of people was lying about Tank not, actually putting in work right before that pause, because Tank was actually starting to connect. So it was actually in Garcia's favor. But I think that this fight actually showed that, okay, who's really going to reach for straws, when it comes to pointing fingers or berating or downgrading, the whole experience and Tank as a fighter. And it showed who was really with him and who's going to really give him his credit, as far as the fight. What do you take away from the Tank fight and what he showed you against Garcia?
Okay, what I saw in this fight is Tank wasn't going to come out immediately and be the aggressor, okay? He appeared to be trying to figure Garcia out, not rushing on anything, but you could see that at a certain point, Tank was beginning to step it up. And as he was beginning to step it up, he was starting to land punches on Garcia. And these punches were taking an effect, okay? At the point that this fight was stopped, I said to myself, if Garcia comes out for the next round, you're going to see Tank come completely after this guy, because I thought at that particular point, Tank had him exactly where he wanted. He put him on the defense, and if Garcia came out, he would not have been an offensive type fighter. He would have been somebody that was trying to survive. And this is where Tank generally puts his fighters at. He puts them in survival mode. And if he would have came out for another round, I believe we would have saw a stoppage. If not a stoppage, we would have seen a fighter that would have been starting to be beaten to the point where his corner is going to have to, make a decision. Do we send him out again? Because his aggression is starting to diminish, and Tank is starting to apply the type of pressure that we know that he can apply. And the fighter himself, based on what we saw, it wasn't his corner that said he couldn't go out no more. He didn't want to fight anymore.
Right.
And he didn't want to fight anymore, and it was evident that he was hurt. And if he would have came out again, we would have saw probably Tank knock this guy out. If not knock him out, then it would have been a stoppage on this guy can't continue anymore. He was definitely hurt. So Tank was starting to initiate and be the Tank that we know, but he took his time. He didn't rush. He wanted to make sure that he had this guy figured out before he moved in for the kill. And that's what we saw. And because he didn't come back out, you didn't see Tank be Tank. But it was going to happen.
Yeah, it was inevitable. I draw the comparisons to what happened with Kell Brook and Errol Spence, where Errol Spence ultimately just broke his will. You know, when he got hit in the head and, you know, his lights got dimmed, he was like, I can't see. You know, I mean, at that point in time, his will was broken. He's like, man, I don't want to go. He felt something that made him not want to go out there. Now, before we wrap it up, man, I heard one of the biggest Devin Haney fans. I think he only fans. I think he's like the president or whatever. This man said that version of Tank, Devin would beat the shit out of. I can't make that up, man. When you mean that version, do you mean the version of Tank that you know, beat a man and broke his will to where he didn't want to fight him? Like, how do you address that? Or you know, did you see a performance in Tank that Devin would have, you know, beat the crap out of him or something? Did I miss something?
To make a long story short, no. What I saw was a Gervonta Davis that was not full of the hype and believe in everything that they say about him. And what he did is he said, I'm going to pick this guy apart, but I'm going to take my time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Tank wasn't the aggressive Tank that we normally see.
Mm-hmm.
He took his time because he had an ulterior motive. He said, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to figure this guy out. I'm going to look at what he's doing. I'm going to take my time. And when I move in for the kill, I'm going to move in and I'm going to have this guy totally figured out. And that's what we saw. We saw a Gervonta Davis that took his time, that didn't rush because he didn't feel he had to rush to do it, that it was going to come. And if he fights Devin, it's going to be a different type fight. You're going to see that his motivation and his will to win rounds, it's going to be greater motivated because he knows he can't get behind too far on Haney, because if you do, then you force yourself into, well, I got to knock him out to win. And I don't think you're going to see that type of fight if he fights Haney. He's going to be more aggressive from the beginning because we saw something in a fight that we normally don't see in a Tank fight. And I even said something to you in the first round. I say this first round, I don't know if I could get this first round to Tank. And I don't know if I could get this first round, you know, to Garcia, because neither fighter looked to be that aggressive in the first round.
Right.
And come to find out, that first round was just the way, you know, we talked about.
Right.
Because they gave it a 10-10, an even fight to both fighters. So that right there lets you know that Tank's motivation in this fight was a little different. He was trying to figure this guy out. And I think this is the first time in a long time I seen a fight where it was actually scored 10-10 in the first round.
Yeah, it was. I said the same thing. I was like, well, how would you if you had to? You know, if somebody put a gun to your head and said it. I said, well, oftentimes they always say you got to take it from the champion. So, you know, I could have saw it either way. You know, I mean, neither one did things, but I didn't disagree with the 10-10 either way. But you know, we seen Tank box. We saw Tank be patient. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing that maybe we might want to see a little bit more out of Boots from. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, just picking his opponent apart and taking it down. And that's, you know, that's the different levels to all of this. And that's the experience of being up under the big bright lights and everything. I'm glad that the event pretty much went off without a hitch, even though people want to draw to the little pause in the fight, which was nothing. Like, to be in DC and nobody got shot and everybody went home to their families, that's a victory. Everybody got paid, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got a good show. And I don't give that, you know, I'll give it a B plus, A minus the whole event. I don't see where you get a C event. I thought it was a good event. I think that we saw good fights. We were entertained. We laughed. We saw things in the, you know, that we didn't expect. So overall, I think it was a good, you know, ordeal. You have anything to close it out?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Anytime in a fight, you leave the fight and you see some things that you weren't expecting, that makes for a good fight. If the fight goes picture perfect, just the way you expected it, then you question yourself. You say, well, this fight went just the way it should have. Nobody did anything to make you question anything. But at the end of this fight, yeah, you know, it gave you like to question some things. So based on that, yeah, that's a B. That's definitely a B plus, because you saw some things and the fight just didn't go just the way you expected it to go. So therefore, you know, in a fight, you want to see some controversy. You want to see some things that say, hey, this fighter needs to work on this. He needs to work on that. If he goes into the fight and just everything goes his way, what has he learned in this fight? He's learned absolutely nothing but being pushed an opponent that allows him just to do everything that he normally does. So yeah, I think this was a learning experience, and you've seen some things that basically makes you say, hey, wow, maybe this particular fighter isn't as invincible as we made him to be, and maybe he needs to work on some things. And that is not a bad thing.
It definitely isn't, man. You know, that's how I is. That's the kind of coach Derek James is. You know, even in all the praise that he gave and saying congratulations and the saluting and all that, he always say, all right, now I seen some things in the lab, and every fighter has to go through that. And as a person who actually bought this card, I'm saying it's like I'm saying it's an A minus, because this was Tank's first venue, and then he was caught basically saying that, hey, I feel good about it because this was without any billboards and something else he said. So he didn't even max out on the promotional side, and for him to, you know, just for him to get his feet wet as his own promoter, to, you know, give us that much talent to look at, man, I walked away happy, man. They can gladly have that $74.99, man. It was worth it. You know, we had fun. You know, the event went off without a hitch, and we learned some things about all the boxers. So appreciate your feedback, and I'm gonna keep my ear to the streets. You know, I'll be sending you some things, and you be sure to send me something, you know, as you come across it. I appreciate you.
All right, yeah, well, you know, definitely it was a good fight card. You know, we saw some things that, you know, we didn't expect, but that's what happens in the sport of boxing. You know, every now and then you're gonna see an upset. You're gonna see a fighter who you think has no chance of surviving a fight, and he gets in there and he shows you, oh yes, you counted me out, but listen, I ended this fight. You know what I mean? And we saw that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good fight card.
And last thing, man, I reached out to Speedy, man. I said, man, hey, look, I had you winning it. You know, we definitely seen some things that you could work on to go back to the lab, but keep your head up and come right back. And he messaged me back, man. He said, I'm definitely coming back with the 100 emoji. So he in good, you know, he understand what happened, and he said he coming back. So anyways, man, I have a good evening. I'll touch bases with you. And
okay then, Mike.
All right.
All
man.
right. Okay, you take care.
All right.
All right.